Hey, Dave, what kind of fish was it?
What's that?
What kind of fish?
Black grouper.
Black grouper. Black grouper, you sure?
Yeah, because it's Hello? We ready, Joe? Good. All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. We're going to, as you're finishing up your dinner, we're going to get started with the festivities. I'm Dave Donaldson, and it's my pleasure to represent the Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission for this prestigious ceremony. I'd like to welcome Gary, his wife Candy, and his sons Teal and Jeremy, as well as our chairman Scott Bannon from the great state of Alabama. So each year we present the Lyles-Simpson Award, and it's awarded to a person that provides outstanding contributions to the marine resources in the Gulf of Mexico. Those actions can be research, management, enforcement, legal, or legislative accomplishments. It's my distinct pleasure to present the 2024 Lyles-Simpson Award to Gary Graham. As you can see by the awards program, he's certainly most deserving of this honor. So I'm going to provide a few comments, then open the floor to the audience to provide comments, and then we'll give Gary a chance, and then we'll actually present him with a sculpture signifying the importance of this award. So Gary's had a career in marine fisheries that spanned almost 5 decades with Texas Sea Grant. Over that span, he's worked with various species, including tilefish, deepwater grouper, swordfish, sharks, sea turtles, and of course, shrimp. Everyone knows Gary for shrimp. You know you made it when someone mentions a topic and everyone in the room, without hesitation, mentions your name, and that's Gary. When you talk about shrimp, if you have a question about shrimp, you talk to Gary. When I first started with the commission a few years ago, one of my first projects I worked on was the development of a turtle excluder device, or TED handbook. The purpose of the document was to provide a brief overview and history of TEDs, as well as describe the current types and how they worked. Since I was fresh out of college, Texas A&M, by the way, gig 'em, and I didn't know where to begin, I asked my old boss, Lyles-Simpson, who should I talk to? Without pause, Larry said, Gary Graham. That was my first encounter with Gary, and we've been colleagues and friends ever since, and have done a variety of different things over the years. So throughout his career, Gary worked and interacted with the shrimp industry on such issues as TEDs, the bycatch reduction devices, or birds, electronic logbooks, and fuel efficiency with the shrimp industry. A constant through all those initiatives was Gary's ability to bring together groups and develop solutions to the various challenges in a collaborative and cooperative manner. He's been a staunch supporter of cooperative and collaborative research and the need to involve industry early in the process when developing solutions to the problems we face as fisheries managers. While in today's world everyone understands the importance of doing that, and to us, to the new folks around this room, they see, well, of course that's what we do. But back in the day when Gary first introduced this idea, he was met with some skepticism. But through his dedication and knowing that this was the concept that would ultimately lead to success, he persevered, which in the end led to better stewardship of the resources in the Gulf of Mexico. So in closing, this dedication to cooperative and collaborative concept, an idea which I wholeheartedly support, having been with the commission for a number of years, because that's what we do, as well as the qualities and commitment described in my comments, captures why Gary has been named the 2024 Lyles-Simpson Award recipient. I take great pride in presenting him with this distinguished award, and on behalf of the commission, I want to say thank you for all that you've done. So now we got staff with microphones, and we're going to open the floor for comments. So if you have a story about that you'd like to share about Gary, or just a comment, raise your hand, and we'll bring the mic to you. So take it away, Chris.
Since Corky's not here, I can go. Yeah. Since Corky's not here, I can go first. Thanks. Well, first of all, Gary, congratulations. There's no one that I can think of, and no one on that list, this long list that's on the back of your program, that's more deserving and has ever been more deserving of this award. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You epitomize the industry science nexus that Sea Grant was supposed to be. In my mind, you were basically founded, as Dave said, you founded that idea and you spread it around the way it was intended. The way the land grant colleges worked with ag, you knew what to do for the shrimp industry particularly, but for commercial fisheries across the Gulf. There are a lot of people here that know you. There are some people here that aren't here that would be so pleased to see you receive this award. Ralph Rayburn would be tickled to death. John Ray Nelson, who's on that list, who I knew pretty well. John Andrew was his favorite, by the way. He would be so tickled to know that Gary Graham was on that list with him. Corky Perrette's not here. He sends his, and I think he sent them directly to you, his congratulations. Bob Jones is not here. He's on the list. He was so pleased to learn that you were given the award. Larry would be tickled to death. And he's with us. All these people that are not with us in person anymore, they're here in spirit, and they're certainly happy. Charlie Lyles, Mr. Lyles, would be so happy. So I just wanted to make you aware of the fact that so many people around the Gulf appreciate all you've done for commercial fishing. I understand you appreciate the, you look like Hemingway, but you're Santiago. And, Santiago fought his battles, right? And you fought some battles, and you lost some, but Gary, you're always, in my mind, undefeated. You will forever be undefeated. The shrimp industry would not exist today in the Gulf and the South Atlantic if it weren't for you and your friend Dave Harrington. It just wouldn't exist. It would be gone, because the first turtle excluder device that the National Marine Fisheries Service put in front of the industry ran screaming and wailing from it for good reason. But you and Dave dug in, fought that battle, and you won that one. Whether we feel like you won or not, you won it, because we wouldn't be here. And on behalf of the rest of the shrimp industry, every one of them ought to be in the room yelling and screaming thanks for all you did for us. So I don't have any funny stories to tell about you, Gary. I just want to say thanks and how much I appreciate all you've done, and congratulations again.
else. Don't be shy. We had the reception early, so we had a little lubricant, hoping that we get. Of course, Laura, you have to say something.
Gary, I mean, there are so many thanks to be shared. I'm so happy to see you in this place and so deserving of this honor. And I already warned you that I was going to get sappy. Here we go. But I'm going to try not to. A decade ago, I came down to the Gulf, thanks to the Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission, and started my adventures in fisheries with the naive adventure of wanting to work with the shrimp fishery and do cooperative research. And you invited me down to Brownsville to come and meet some shrimpers and attend a turtle conference, and tried to teach me how to two-step. And to this day, I cannot two-step. But that is not your fault. That is definitely my fault. But since then, you have become a mentor, a friend, family. I know that a lot of people feel that way in the Gulf. I know that a lot of us wouldn't have the careers that we have without your mentorship. So I thank you on behalf of Texas Sea Grant, on behalf of what you've given to our team, and Sea Grant as a whole, and what you've given to the Gulf and the industry that has relied on the hard work that you've put in to help this industry survive, and the path that you forged for all of us. So I'm going to stop being sappy now. I don't have funny stories, which is unfortunate because you are the king of funny stories. But I'm going to pass this on because Julie may have a funny story for you.
I should have known better than to sit next to Laura. I just want to say thank you, Gary. You welcomed me in 15 years ago when I got to the Gulf, and you gave me a lot of great fisheries advice, even good dating advice. I think my husband here thanks you for that. And just, yeah, all along the way as a fisheries specialist and then becoming director, knowing that, you knew about the industries, you knew the issues going on. And so thank you for all of your mentorship and friendship.
Well, I haven't known you as long as a lot of the people in the room. I'm still kind of a young person in Sea Grant compared to you, especially because you have more years of service than I've been alive. But it gives me something to look forward to. When I first started with Sea Grant, he invited me down to teach me all about TEDs, and it was something that I literally knew nothing about. And I spent the weekend with him. And he was just such a great host, and he taught me so much. And I still use those pictures in my presentations to this day. And it's just been an honor to know you and get to work with you. And I'm just super blessed to have known you, and congratulations. Well deserved.
Anyone else? If not, Gary, the podium is yours.
I was just a pup in Sea Grant. I went behind the ears, and I can remember my first Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission meeting. It was in Brownsville, and Joe Colson was the back there was running the organization, and I came in to register, and he called me off the side and said, "Gary, I would like to ask a favor of you. I need somebody to take one of my aides and go out and buy liquor for the social tonight." And I tell you, I was amazed how quick an organization could find my skills. Just amazed. I looked over the list of people and that's on there, and some of their voices even resonate. Ted Ford. Do you remember Ted Ford's voice? I remember your dad, John Ray Nelson, and Dave Harrington and I sitting at your family table at lunch one time with y'all and down there, and what class, just how wonderful can all that be? And just so many of those people are just icons, and were icons in my life. And I never thought I would be up here, you know, on an equal level, getting this recognition. When I started in Sea Grant in 1970, I had a boss call me off the side and said, Gary, the thing I want to see from you is I want you to provide positive leadership, but maintain a low profile. I haven't figured that out yet. That's the honest to goodness truth. I haven't figured that out yet. But Chris talked about the land grant concept, and you know, how are we going to apply this? This was all something new. You know, some of us had to pioneer. Some of us had to just go make cold calls on boats and different people and try to explain, and they just look at you cross-eyed. You know, what are you talking about? You know, and they would, Brian, one of the things that they wanted us to, you know, use the extension concept, but the thing that I think was missed is that farmer's out on a tractor for a day. We go talk to people that have been on a tractor for 40 days and ask them to come to a meeting at night when they come in. And, you know, you have to change. You have to change your strategies. A lot of that extension stuff worked, and I'll relate to some of it, but it was different with the fishermen, and we had to take different tactics. And you know, even a charter fisherman that's been out all day, he doesn't want to go to a meeting at night when he comes in. And so often what I found, I had to, I always said it was the least efficient, but the most effective was you have to go down and meet people head on, face to face. And I still believe that, you know. Now, it's things have changed now a little bit, but in those days, very, very definitely. Oh, you talk about a challenge. I was a new kid on the block. I was running a yacht on the side, moonlighting a little bit, and the shrimp fishermen were starting to complain to me about catching barrels offshore. And they were breaking up on deck, and they were ruining shrimp, and it was taking paint off the boats, and it was illegal dumping. And it was almost like a John Grisham novel. I had mentioned to a few recreational fishermen, and there was a attorney, and he found out about it, and he says, well, "I'm going to tackle this pro bono. We're going to do this." And some of the shrimp fishermen and some of the recreational fishermen, through him, filed a lawsuit against a major corporation and EPA. And boy, one of the worst days of my life was getting subpoenaed and going into that court, giving a deposition. I've never seen so many attorneys in my life. But you know what? We won. And that gave industry, I'm never so proud of that, that gave industry a reputation, both the recreational and the commercial fishermen, as being guardians. Because nobody knew that was going on. And it was bad stuff, let me tell you. In fact, two corporations, we turned around and sued another one. But bad stuff. They were supposed to be taking it way offshore, and they weren't. And I look back on that with awe that we were able to do that. Chris talked about cooperative research, and that's been an extension thing, agriculture extension thing for years. You'll go through a field and you'll see signs of different kinds of maize or milo or corn being, you know, and that's been the bread and butter of that. Well, we adapted that in Sea Grant. That to us, to me, was the most powerful tool that I could have. Is going out. You know, agriculture has people, research stations that are going out and performing research and stuff and giving it to you to disseminate. Well, a lot of the fishery stuff, yeah, there's a lot of research being done, but it's a lot of it's basic research and stuff like that, not applied research that person can take and walk out there and hand to somebody. And Dave Harrington and I both had the idea that you know, working with the industry, trying to develop new ideas and concepts was the way to go. And that's still my bread and butter. My motto was, if a fisherman didn't want to do it, It wasn't worth doing it on his boat. I have honored here one of my friends here, Captain Tim Adams. He's off the big boats now, but for many, many years he was a top fisherman. When you can get somebody like Tim to work with you and you tap into his knowledge, you can go a long way of accomplishing things. And Tim, I thank you for all the work that you've done did through us, through the Gulf. And that's been my mentor. In 1974, boy, A&M would die if they knew this. I had a fisherman gave me his boat, and for 2 trips, and I went offshore and looked at tilefish, and found tilefish off there. You know, industry will work with you if you handle it right. Boy, A&M would die if they knew that took place. So I'll tell you, I've always been under the idea that if I know it's the truth, I can live with it and I can adapt. There's just so much stuff out there that you know, it's just not true. I used to slide. I never forget. I had a slide from a kid's publication. It said for every pound of shrimp that's caught, 20 pounds of fish are killed. And I used to show that to the fishermen. And one of the things that I just had so many good people pushing me, working with me. You know, Ralph Rayburn said, Gary, we want to prove that bycatch thing different. You know, we want to make sure that's right. We want to do our own study. And what happened was the Texas Shrimp Association got the grant. Ralph had since moved on, and we got another director, and she just really wasn't. She just couldn't do it. And asked Sea Grant to take over, and we took the grant and worked with it, and did a industry observer program. And we collected data for a year, and it was just too much for them. But this wonderful organization that Chris was very much involved with, the Gulf States Gulf and South Atlantic Fisheries Foundation, took over and started doing that work and asked me to be the coordinator for the observers in the Gulf and stuff, and become the Gulf coordinator. And we did a tremendous amount of work there. We had an industry program going for about 3 years before NIMS got involved, collecting those data. And I think one of the things that makes me very proud is after NIMS collected data for 2 or 3 years, we sit down and said, we'll show you ours if you'll show you yours. and we had a meeting and we sit down, and I've never been so proud of this. Those data matched. And that showed that industry, if you know, could collect data and on their own, and do the job right under proper leadership. And by the way, that number came down from 20 to 4. In the South Atlantic was 3, and it's even lower now. Dave Harrington was, you know, I had good people in my life. I say Dave Harrington was so important to me. We complemented. I think there was a synergism between the two of us. You know, we operated a little differently, but together it was. We really got a lot of stuff going. And you know, that sea turtle issue, I was a golden boy, man. I started off with that book I published for the shrimpers with all those obstructions. That made me the golden boy. And then sea turtles came along, and the Teds came along, and I wasn't a golden boy anymore. How quickly things change. And as I look back on it, I think, you know, wow. It seemed so complicated at the time and so impossible. All the writing and complaining and stuff, and the answer was right there. And I never forget, in 1985, I believe it was, I was at a meeting in New Orleans with some environmentalists, and I said, you know, I think shrimpers are getting rid of sea turtles, and they just don't know it. You know, and jelly ball shooters, that, you know, and Dave was on it because he was from Turtle Country, and he said, yes, sir, they'll get rid of them. And what we did was we started going to the industry for ideas. And not only did we get ideas, Dave had a Georgia Bulldog. We could put that gear on that vessel and go out and where we knew there were significant numbers of sea turtles, and we could prove that industry ideas worked. And Dave was smart on that. He not only did that, he made sure that Audubon and all these other environmentalists were on the boat when we did it. And they said, you know, why aren't you, you know, why aren't we using this gear, fisherman's gear? And that turned the tide. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of issues, but that turned the tide. Industry had their own problem. They've solved their problem. You get people together and talk to them right, and they'll solve the problem. And I'm still to this day, you know, it just looks so impossible at first. Oh boy, having to learn to do stuff though. I was involved, I was on the, it was called the Resettlement Committee for the Asian Americans for the Department of Justice. Boy, there was an impossibility. How in the heck can we teach these people what our laws are and the right thing, and how, man, that was tough going out there and doing that. And one of the things that I found was that if I go to a Vietnamese Catholic priest, explain to him that I needed to get something to the fishermen, and I was willing to pay for his parish hall for a meeting site, man, it's standing room only. You know, I don't know what's being said, but and that worried me quite often. But we could, you know, it worked. We disseminated a lot of information like that, and then you know, but you know, I'm not always that smart. I've always known to go to if I want to do shrimp outreach in Florida, you go to Florida during certain moon phases. There are going to be more fishermen at the ports. But I thought, man, it's Harrington and we're going to get to these Vietnamese during the New Year, when they're all in, the Chinese New Year. We're going to go around and round them up, and we're going to disseminate all this information. And while we're at it, we're going to get the Louisiana people over during Mardi Gras, too. And the answer to that is, forget it. Because nobody's going to come to Mardi Gras, and the Vietnamese are not going to come during the New Year. You know, but, you know, it's just stuff we learn heuristically that I laughed about. I put a lot of time in building relationships and trying to get trust throughout the Gulf. And it always worried me. During Gary, you worked all those years, and you're going to retire, and all that's going to go out the window. It's all going to go out the window. And that bugged me a lot, because I put a lot of effort into that. Put my heart and my blood in it. And ran across Laura. And I've never felt more comfortable turning stuff over to that lady right there, Laura, than I mean, I just, it was just a relief to me. And not only, she's bigger and better. And I absolutely feel so good about that. Alexis, I heard you say something today, and we put a lot of effort into that in the fishing tournament thing in my early years. A lot. Someday I need to sit down and tell you the stories and stuff. We were fortunate enough to have somebody come to us and say, we think we're getting illegal entries, and there's a lot of stuff. Can you come help us? And we brought in some high-powered people from A&M, from the seafood technologists that could look at the quality of fish and tell whether they're frozen and stuff like that. And we cleaned the tournament up, I'll be honest with you. And I'm glad that you're still into that and going to continue to rekindle that, because that's important stuff. It really is. And that I was thinking about that when I was coming up here, and was so glad to hear you mention that you're still involved in it. The problem that we have, and I listened to you today, is we deal with people who don't know what they don't know. And we don't know what we don't know. But trying to get that to, it's a technique to try to educate people without irritating them. For example, Freeport JC's had one of the biggest Spanish mackerels on the record you ever saw. And I was watching them, watching the entries come in, and well, it's got yellow spots, it's got to be a Spanish mackerel. No, it can be a juvenile kingfish, and stuff like that. And that people just don't know what they don't know. And so thank you for hanging in there and continuing to do that. There's so much that I just born under a lucky star. I mean, I just born. I get involved in a project and have good people and it work out. Now, this bulletproof material called Spectra. Allied Chemical. I was trying to test some other stuff. It didn't work, and Allied Chemical contacted me. And I got a grant, and they made some webbing, and we started testing Spectra netting. It's strong as steel. That way you can get a small diameter and really cut back on your drag and stuff. Very expensive. In fact, so expensive I quit using it, on my boats. But that stuff caught on, and some other kinds of webbing caught on. But what I laugh about, and Lars gets tired of me saying this, when you walk into a major league stadium and you see that netting up there, that's not standard shrimp netting. That's Spectra webbing. That's something Sea Grant put on the ground. And we never get credit for having nets in major league ballparks, but that's The bycatch, Laura, I hope you continue to work on it. It needs work. It needs work. I wound up with a couple shrimp boats when I retired. And catch yourself saying, I'm pulling this gear and I'm losing 10 to 15% of my shrimp. And you lay in bed and I gross this much and you're thinking, I lost this much. We're getting rid of bycatch, but we've got to get something better. It's just, we've got to come up with something in there. And I'm sorry I never accomplished that. My last trip I made on the Gulf was a 50-day trip looking at new gears. And with that, I want to apologize to Candy, my bride. In 1969, I came in on a boat, and she wasn't standing there at the dock like the women generally do. Threw the lines on, went home, and she looked at me and said, Gary, Candy's a daughter of a shrimp fisherman. Said, I never had a daddy, and I've decided I want to have a husband. And we decided maybe I wouldn't be, it's time for me to look for something else. And little did she know I'd take this job and say I was doing so much. But Candy, thank you. I want to tell you, thank you for hanging in there with me. And there's some times, boys, I wasn't there. I was offshore, and I'm sorry I wasn't. But we've had some great times together. I really have always appreciated this commission and what it's done and the people and I've always been very honored to sit on some of the committees and participate in the meetings and it's just always been class. I really and truly, I'm very humbled and very honored to get this award. And I want to tell the young people out there that I hope one day you'll be getting the Lyles-Simpson Award. So thank you.
We've commissioned an artist, Ian Williams, out of Florida, he does wood sculpture. So come on down here. We'd like to present this sculpture to you. That's a big shrimp. That might be able to feed this whole audience. So, and we got a plaque that says presented to Gary Graham, Gulf States Marine Fisheries Commission, 2024 Lyles-Simpson Award. So hopefully you got the place for it to. Step out here, get a picture. We'll help you hold it up. Come here and get behind. All right, folks. We appreciate. I get they're turning the lights out, so I guess it's time to go. Perfect timing.